All right, we're gonna get going here. All right. Good morning. Hello. How are we doing? I had my second vaccine shot yesterday, and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm here. I'm okay. It's good. Gloomy day. A little gloomy inside, but I don't feel bad enough to stay home. It was like that weird line between like, should I stay home? Should I not? And I decided to come in to be with you. So that's great because today's our second day of the plate project, and today's the day you're actually going to be doing something with the plate project. So it's important to watch the demo today. Everyone's going to watch the slab demo, and then for those who want to try doing their plate on the wheel, after you've watched the slab demo, you'll be able to start practicing on the wheel. So at least you'll know how to do the slab technique if the wheel just doesn't work out for you. All right, so just a quick recap. Yesterday, we finished our wind chime tiles. They were really good overall. You guys did a really nice job on those. So the ones that you turned in to be fired are now just chilling in the kiln, waiting to dry out to be fired. The ones, people who are at home, if you still want to bring in your tiles to be fired, bring them in today or tomorrow afternoon. Everybody in the video that you submitted yesterday, I typed a comment for everybody. So I don't know if you see it when teacher comments are written in your assignments. But whenever it's a video assignment, like a big grade, I always type comments because if you lose points, I want you to know why you lost points. So at some point, not right now, but at some point you can just look and see the comments that I wrote if you're interested. VLA students, I already said that. So the tiles will be fired for next week. I just mixed up some brand new glazes that you guys are going to be the first group to be able to use, and we'll glaze our tiles next week. So also yesterday, I did a really quick intro of the plate project. I always feel weird when we're finishing one project and starting a new project in the same day. Like, I don't like that. It doesn't feel clean and orderly to me, but it's what we had to do. So I did introduce the plate project, and I'd like you guys to try and remember and then tell me what are some of the requirements for this new project, for the plate project. What's one requirement that you remember? Yeah.
It has to be above the bottom.
Exactly. So to have it be a plate that's going to function as a true plate, the lip does need to be higher than the inside, than the bottom part of it, so that if you put something runny or some peas or something on that plate, they're not just going to dribble right off the side. What's another requirement that you remember from yesterday? People who are at home, you can unmute and type in too if you want. What are we doing with the surface on the inside? Yep, we're doing paper masking. And I know you don't know a lot about that yet, but what you do need to know is that there's going to be a design using color on the inside of your plate. And you sketched ideas for that yesterday, but you didn't turn that in. You didn't take a photo of your sketches from yesterday. You'll be doing that today. So if you didn't finish your sketches yesterday, you'll be finishing them in class today. Any other requirements that you remember from the plate project? I didn't spend a lot of time talking about it, so I'm not surprised if you don't remember. One of the things your plate will have to have is a foot on the bottom. You'll need a little ring added to the bottom so that your plate sits up, elevated up off your table. I promise you, your plates at home have feet, little subtle little foot rings. So take a look at it at home tonight. That's your homework. Look at the bottom of your plates. And so you'll need a foot ring too on the bottom of your plate. And then one of the key requirements, and actually one that you'll be able to control today as you're starting your plate project, is the lip thickness. The lip thickness is really important. And if you're using a slab to be able to make your plate, what that means is you need to make that slab really consistent. So it needs to not be thicker on one side, thinner on the other. Because when we put that slab in your plastic plate or your paper plate, that uneven lip is really going to show. That's like the most glaring error that you could make on this project. So that's what we're going to focus on, is making really consistent slabs today. So the steps, I'm going to leave this up on the screen so people who are here in the classroom, you'll have this available to you. People at home, this will be in the video so you can watch this if needed. If you need to remember these steps, you don't have to write them down. So I'm going to talk you through them now, and then I'm actually going to do them in the demo. So the first thing you're going to do, and this is kind of aimed at people who are at home. So folks who are here, your information is going to be a little bit different. But people at home are going to cut a 1/2 inch thick slab of clay from their block. and they're gonna wedge it. People who are here, you're gonna be probably getting about, what would we compare this to? A large grapefruit, maybe a large grapefruit of clay, and you're gonna be wedging that. Then you're gonna flatten that slab of clay to become a uniform 1/4 of an inch thick. People at home, I'm gonna show you how to do that in the demo. People who are here, you're gonna be able to use a slab roller to do that. Then we're going to use the plate, either the metal or the plastic or the paper plate, and we're gonna trace and cut out the slab, so it's the same shape as your plate. Then we're going to remove the excess clay and recycle that or wedge that back up. People at home are going to put it back in their bag so they have it to use for a later project. Then we're going to layer everything. So paper plate, slab, and there'll be a piece of plastic between the two. And then we're just going to do a quick flip. So the slab falls into the plate and takes on the shape of that plate. Then we're going to use a sponge to smooth and really make sure that the slab takes on the shape of the paper plate, metal plate, and plastic plate. And that's all you're doing today. You're just getting your slab inside the pre-existing plate, getting it all nice and smooth, getting it to conform, fixing your lip if there's any issues with your lip. That is a process for today. You'll take a photo of that. You'll submit it for 20 points by 3 p.m. Okay, so I am going to disengage this, and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to bring my computer over to table 9. Tatiana, can you flip on the lights for us, please? All right, so I'm going to demo from here today just because it's a little bit more comfortable for me to stand as I'm demoing. So I'm going to do that, right? That gets everything. Okay. So everybody who's at that table over there, come and stand in a place where you feel like you can see okay. Sam and Blue, do you guys feel like you can see okay, kind of between people? If not, go ahead and stand up as well. Again, even if you know you're gonna work on the wheel, I still want you to watch. Okay, so people at home, you're gonna need your hexagonal plate. You're gonna need a toothpick. You're gonna need your little sponge. You might wanna have your rolling pin. Also, people at home, I noticed some people, some of you don't have your cloth taped down to your workspace. Just tape it down. That way you can wedge without the cloth moving around. All right, so here's my block of clay. And I'm gonna cut a 1/2-inch slab, and I don't have my wedging cloth here for me to wedge. So I'm just gonna have to do it on the table, I guess, if that's what I can. Okay. I'm gonna pre-flatten my clay. And I've showed you the throwing technique before. So I think you kind of probably remember that. That's probably better done on a wedging cloth. So people at home, on your taped down cloth, people here, you can do it at either one of the wedging stations. I'll just do it right here and hope that it doesn't stick. So I can throw it diagonally, and then I can throw it the other direction, so I stretch it really evenly. But there is another way to do this. I'm gonna lay this down just so I'm not gonna get anything sticking. So people at home, if you have pencils, you can lay those pencils on either side of your slab and then use the rolling pin that I've given you. Now this is a really skinny slab. I don't want it to be that skinny. I want it to be more, big enough so it's gonna fit this plate. So, ooh, this clay is too sticky even for this rolling pin. Rats. Flip it over. Try that again. So now if I take the pencils and put them on either side of my slab, the pencils will prevent me from rolling too thin. So as soon as the rolling pin hits the pencil, I can't take it any lower. And a pencil it's maybe a little bit smaller than a 1/4 of an inch, but that's fine. These can end up being a little thinner than a 1/4 of an inch. So the one downside is these rolling pins aren't quite long enough to hit both pencils at the same time. So I kind of have to roll one side and then move my way over to the other side. And if you notice the way I'm using the rolling pin, I'm using my palms and my forearms and everything. So I get one consistent roll. And people who are here, if you want to do this technique, there are rolling pins over there, which you're welcome to use. All right, so to be honest, I still prefer the throwing technique. That's my comfort zone. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to see if I can't stretch it just a little bit more evenly, thin it out a little bit. It looks like bread. Fun. Okay, so then I'm going to take my plate. People who are here, you have different sizes, different shapes of plates, but the process is the same. You're going to take, for the kids at home, you have a toothpick. Kids who are here, you have wire tools, or sorry, needle tools. And this is really important for everybody. You're going to hold the tool and do the cutting with the tool straight up and down. If you get kind of sloppy with it and you start to get more of an angle as you're cutting, the edge of your plate is going to be really weird. It's going to be thin in some spots. It's going to be thick in others. So make sure no matter what tool you're using, you're holding it straight up and down as you're tracing and cutting. Okay, all the way around. Now what I've learned the hard way is if I just take this slab, and especially with a paper plate, if I just put it right in there, the water from the clay goes into the plate and it warps the plate, and then my shape ends up being weird. And what I've also learned is if you have, I'm gonna steal your plate for a second, if you have a plastic or a metal plate, if you put the clay right on there, what problem are you gonna have? It's gonna stick, right? And it's gonna rip as you're trying to take it off of there. So this next step is for everybody as well, no matter what kind of plate you have. I'm going to take an extra bag and I'm just going to cut a portion of the plastic, kind of ideally an unwrinkly portion. And I'm going to put that on top of my slab. I'm going to put my plate on top of that. Oh, this was supposed to be in my wood tray. Oops. Then I'm just going to do a quick flip. So now the slab is sitting in the plate. The plastic is keeping it from sticking, keeping the plate from getting oversaturated. And as of right now, it doesn't really look like much, right? That doesn't look like much at all. So here's the most important part of today. You're going to take a damp sponge and very gently, you're going to put some pressure. I'm kind of like leading with my pointer finger right here, putting some pressure on the interior of the plate. So I start to get, I don't know if you can see that online, but you can get more definition between the raised edge and then the flat edge in the center. So I just did that very quickly. I would need to do that a whole lot more to get that nice definition in there. And then I would smooth up my lip as much as I can. If there are thick areas, I can carve it. If there's thin areas, I can add some clay to it. And then this is really super wet right now. It's very much in the plastic stage. So what I would do to wrap it, I could even use the bag that I cut into. I would loosely bag it overnight. So people who are here, you'll be putting this in your lockers, but leave the bag way open. People who are at home, leave it on your work table. Just leave that bag really puffed open so it can get stronger for tomorrow. Because tomorrow, we want to be able to pop this off and add the foot.
What
Okay.
happens if it's
Too soft?
like hard as a rock?
We hope that doesn't happen. If you're loosely bagging it, it shouldn't get totally bone dry. But the bigger problem is probably it's going to be too wet still tomorrow, and then we'll have to hair dry it. Okay, so that's the slab technique for making your plates. People who are here, you know the steps you need to do. You know how to use the slab roller. So you guys can get started. If you're planning to wheel, raise your hand again if you want to wheel right away. Okay, so if you're thinking you might wheel, one quick thing you need to know, you don't have to do the thing where you press the clay down to make your bat stick on there. Brendan Fernland and I went around and on all these wheels today, we put pins on them. So all you have to do is grab a bat from this rack in the back of the room. And you're gonna want a bat that has holes in it like this, and that should fit on those pins, and then you can put your clay right on the bat. You don't have to do that pre-step that I showed you yesterday. All right, people who are at home, VLA, stay put. I want to chat with you and take attendance. I'm going to stop recording.